Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the ABC of Hauntings with Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours and moi from
Your left boob.
Oz Paratech.
Good evening, everyone. It's been such a long time. It's been a whole week. My, what things can happen in a week.
Can't they? What?
Gosh, it's been, crazy. How is your world? Let us know what is going on and where you are from, everyone.
Hello. And just a little reminder, tonight is not our tarot reading night. Tonight is our opportunity to try and educate.
And we'll fail yet again, but that's all right. We're giving it our best shot. That's the most important thing.
Yes. Now, I should have had this prepped before I went, so I will just do this very quickly now. StreamYard, allow, and then I've got to get this up, and then I can go back to that, and then I can take that out of the stream, and that way I'm ready to go. So I should have done it beforehand.
So this evening we are exploring the letter C, and we have chosen two topics for tonight. And Anne is going to be talking about Chillingham Castle, which I have never been to. Have you ever been to there?
No, I so desperately want to go. I know that Ali and Cag have been, and also Amy's Crypt have been. I know that Dean has been.
Our friend Donna has been.
Yep, so many people have been, and we would have gone this year if we'd had the opportunity, but never mind. We won't talk about that, will we?
No, we won't.
We won't talk about the fact we've just had to cancel our South Australian trip that was going to be on in 1 month's time because we can't go and wait in lockdown for 2 weeks to go away for the weekend.
As much as we love you, Alison and Cag, and we would love to do your tour, we cannot be in lockdown for 2 weeks. I will kill Anne.
Oh, there's Cag. Hi, Cag. Oh, did you have any ghostly experiences, Cag? Anything happen?
And we're exploring Chillingham Castle, and I'm going to be tackling the Australian Capital Territory, Canberra.
The COVID-free state.
Canberra. With some stories.
I know, and you don't think that Canberra would be terribly haunted, but it's actually got some good stories there.
They've got skeletons in the closet.
Oh, I bet they do, and they've got porno in the shed.
and
bangers, fireworks.
And bangers.
I got my Call of the Spirits t-shirt on tonight.
So yes, and also letting you know that after this program is finished, we are going to be doing something a little bit special. We're going to be doing a live seance after this at 9:00. And what pages is it going to be on, Anne?
I've got it going on to Frightfully Good. I have got it going to Newcastle Ghost Tours, Oz Paratech, the Australian School of Ghost Hunting, and YouTube.
Right. And we are going to see if we can connect with the spirits via the table and glass with some glass dowsing. And we are doing it live, so you may never know, you may get the opportunity to actually come on and see if we can connect with one of your loved ones in spirit. We're trying this out to see how it goes.
We've not done this before, so
no, it could go terribly wrong.
Especially with only two of us on. We probably need our round bubble Christie on to help flatten all the curves that go all out of place.
It might be quite amazing. And if Christy, if you're watching, hop into the car, my darling, and come over because we might need you. But anyway, what the hell? Let's give it a crack.
All right.
Yeah. Well, we'll let the legions of the demon devil loose upon the Australian public.
Belinda, this came from T Public in America. I've got a few more t-shirts coming as well. I do like to have sort of quirky t-shirts. I finally worked out my style. It's taken me 50 odd years to do so, but I'm there, and it's a nice pair of jeans and a funny t-shirt with my red glasses, and that's it. And a jacket, nice jacket.
So without further ado, Miss Anne, would you like to start on Chillingham Castle?
I would, but it's getting a little warm in here, so I'm just going to turn this down. Freaking hell, it's hot. I just must be excited about Chillingham Castle. Well, I hope I've got all my stories right, and I hope that I've got the pictures right that go with it. So I'm going to jump over now to this and get the Chillingham Castle.
Just let us know, everyone, if the presentation is going okay.
So, Renata,
we've just got someone saying that we need to fix our live feed. There is a little bit of a delay.
sometimes if you're having trouble, you need to go out of the live feed and then come back into the live feed, and that normally will fix whatever problem there was. So I'm just going to give Renata this so she can keep an eye on the comments to make sure that. There we are.
Okay, my darling.
Okay. Now, sorry.
I've just got someone.
And you will need to go. Oh, is it going to catch up? No, you're going to need to go out and come back in. Sorry. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you've got to go out and come back in. There we go. Okay. All fixed. So we are going on to Chillingham Castle. Now, it is widely regarded as the most haunted castle in England. I'm sure no other castle has had that claim to fame.
Absolutely not.
No. And it has hundreds of paranormal events being recorded every year. So it dates back over 800 years ago. Now, this is where I get a little bit jealous of England, because they have such great castles and history that goes back that is recorded, and we've got evidence of that there. But this castle was built for one purpose, apparently, and that was killing.
Oh.
So it's in the heart of Northumberland, and it was the first line of defence, preventing the Scots.
Bloody Scots.
Bloody Scots. I like the Scots, actually. Getting over the border to invade England back in the days of William Wallace, when the castle was ruled over by King Edward I, which was Edward Longshanks. Must have had long legs or something. And it has a truly amazing yet horrific history. The dungeon. So, well, first off, I've got to show you. I'm not keeping up with my own bloody photos. So there we are. There's Chillingham Castle, and
Isn't it glorious?
Grey desert. Now, not all of my photos are of great quality, but I did my best. So the first room that we're going to look at is the dungeon. It's a very small room with markings scratched into the mortar where prisoners have kept count of how many days they had left to live. The prisoners could expect to have their arms and legs broken before being thrown 20 feet down a hole into the oubliette. We saw the oubliette at Leap Castle.
We did.
And left there to die, either from starvation or from their injuries. These humans are cruel. They really are. Sometimes prisoners would start to eat chunks of flesh from others.
Ew.
And even their own bodies. I'll just have a little toasty finger tonight. Oh, no, that's...
No.
In a vain attempt to prolong their life, it has been reported that if you look down through the grate covering the oubliette, you can see the remains of a young girl looking back up at you. There are the remains of the last person to be killed. These are the remains of the last person to be killed there. You wouldn't think they'd leave the bones there. Many people have experienced things here. Orbs.
Thousands of orbs.
Fancy that in a castle.
And fancy down like here in the dungeon area.
Yeah, there'd be no
Never
dust.
get orbs down there.
And people pick up on emotions from the room, and apparently the room has a depressing feel to it.
Really?
Who would have thunk? Then we go into the torture chamber. So they have quite a few of the torture implements in perfect working order for you to look at if you'd like to. The floor is on a slope so that the blood could drain away down to one side of the room. And for many thousands of Scots, it would have been the last place they ever saw. The torturer, now there's a story involved with him. His name was John Sage, and he was a bit of a celebrity during his time.
Was he?
He was, a bit like Nosy Bob. The torturer or the hangman, or that sort of got a little bit of reputation.
Yes. What was his speciality?
Well, let me tell you. Before he was a torturer, he was one of King Edward's best men in the battlefield and had worked his way up to the rank of lieutenant. Sage was injured one day whilst at battle. His leg was wounded and he couldn't fight anymore. Sage begged Longshanks, the king, to keep him on in some capacity, and he was given the role of castle torturer.
Oh, bless.
Bless. Sage was a
Was he?
Well, put my teeth in. He was a brutal man. He hated the Scots, and he loved the role of torturing these poor individuals and devised some of the most awful devices that you could possibly imagine. Oh, look at that nice chair. Let's sit on there and get a little prick up the butt. Okay.
So Brent's told us that he used to play rugby down there on Saturdays.
Oh, wow.
There you are.
So some of the devices, there's a boiling pot, gadgets for gouging eyes out, barrels full of spikes that would have had a prisoner tied and rolled around until his flesh was ripped from the body and they died in agony. There were cages that would have been attached to a prisoner's stomach, and a starved rat would be put inside, and the only way out for the rat was to eat through the victim.
Yuck.
This fellow. Some of the things the prisoners would have endured at the hands of this man are unimaginable. Sage tortured upwards of 50 people a week. For 3 years he held down the job.
Wow.
There are many torture devices on show, and the guide tells people about they never come down on their own, as they always feel there's a malevolent presence there on more than one occasion. It's probably still his special place. As the war was coming to the end with the Scots, John Sage wanted rid of the Scottish prisoners being held in the castle, so he rounded up the men, women and older children, took them to the courtyard and put them all onto a huge bonfire.
Wow.
The younger children were kept in the Edward room and could probably see their parents being burned alive. They will have heard the screams and probably been able to smell the burning flesh.
Well, Lorraine says you've disturbed her night's sleep for tonight.
You're welcome. I've got a feeling I've got this out of order here. That's not what it's meant to be, but that's okay. We'll find it. Sage knew that if he released the younger children, they would return when they were older to seek revenge. So he took a small axe.
Hold on.
Went to the Edward room and hacked the children, some as young as 1 year old, to pieces.
Oh, what a horrid individual.
The axe can be seen today on the stairwell. The axe that he used to kill the children. The Edward room is one of the most active rooms in the castle. People often say they see the chandelier. Oh no, this must be the right room. The chandelier swinging without it being moved, and the room has a foul smell and a strange atmosphere. Sorry, that's not a great picture. In the torture chamber, there was also a torture rack, as pictured here. This particular device proved to be the undoing of John Sage. For Sage had a girlfriend. Bit of kinkiness, maybe? No?
Bit of 50 Shades of Grey in the castle.
Bit of the 50 Shades of Sage, by the sounds of it. Had a girlfriend, Elizabeth Charlton, and one night they were having sex on the rack.
As you do. Come lie here, my darling.
Come
lie.
Come
lie.
And he started to strangle Elizabeth to heighten her sexual pleasure.
Oh, even back then.
Yep.
Yes, go
he
ahead.
Took it too far and killed her. Elizabeth's father was a member of the Border Reivers, a group of tribal leaders, broken men and outlaws. They were not to be messed with, and of course they wanted to kill poor old Johnny Sage. It was only an accident. He was just trying to give her a good time. The Border Reivers were a very powerful organisation who commanded a vast, highly skilled and experienced fighting force. It was recorded the Reivers met with Edward Longshanks and instructed him that if he did not, fancy saying this to the king, that if he did not have Sage killed, they would join forces with the Scots and launch an assault on Chillingham Castle. This time, the Scots would probably win due to the backing from the Border Reivers. As Longshanks was virtually penniless due to the war against the Scots, he was forced to call for Sage to be hung. Sage was captured and hung in front of an enormous crowd in the grounds of Chillingham Castle. As he hung, you thought he was bad. Okay. As he hung, the crowd started to take souvenirs, cutting off Sage's toes, fingers, testicles, made a little purse out of that, and nose whilst he was still alive. I think it's just getting a little bit back of what he gave out.
Just a little, I think.
Yep. And it's not known how long Sage hung there, mutilated before he died. The ghost of John Sage has been seen wandering the castle by many of the visitors and staff. Others claim to have heard footsteps, followed by the sounds of someone dragging something.
It's probably his testicles along the floor.
So this is the Great Hall, and there's an elephant, mounted elephant head on there.
Awful.
So this leads into the chapel and the minstrel galleries. The Great Hall is a long room with lots of artefacts on the wall. There's a life-size statue of a horseman on his horse. There is a stuffed elephant's head with chain mail armour. And there is a tapestry with a skull beneath it. People have experienced lots of strange things near the tapestry, whether it be cold spots.
Oh, there's an orb.
Or noises being heard. Now, this was actually put up as a piece of evidence for ghosts.
Right.
With the orb.
I can see that. It's so clearly.
I know.
Can you magnify that so we can see the face inside the orb?
No.
Can you put a red ring around it,
No,
please?
I've got one of those for you later.
Okay.
From the courtyard,
Right.
figures are often seen passing the windows of the Great Hall when no one is actually there. The skull is also known to move around the room, but never leaves it.
Oh.
I'll skip over that bit because that's not really good. All right, now we're going to go on to the minstrels gallery.
Are you missing a really juicy bit of information?
No, they said it developed notice a strange ghostly presence sat in the chair on the left at the back of the hall.
Oh, okay. All right.
So this would be the minstrels gallery. So as you can see, this is up higher and looking down. So quite often the minstrels were put up above, and they could play so all the guests could enjoy the music, but they didn't have the minstrels down there with them because they were lowly.
Yes.
You can't mix with them, but they were nearby. So it's a balcony overlooking what is now used as the tea room. Have a cup of tea. People have been pushed down the stairs. And while on this balcony, people often suffer from terrible headaches and or feeling of nausea to the point where they feel like throwing themselves over the top down onto the concrete floor below. Geez, that's some nausea to make you feel like you want to throw yourself over a balcony.
I'd be spewing in a corner.
You
I wouldn't
would.
be wanting to throw myself over. I'm wondering what mould is like there.
Well, it's a lot of stone, so maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
I know I've got mould in my bedroom, trying to do something about that. There is a story that when the tea room was being excavated, a giant toad-like creature came through a wall before taking the form of a human and then disappearing.
Oh,
it is said that it now haunts the castle. Oh, that'd have to be a witch then, because witches are shapeshifters.
Yes, true.
I'm learning that in my notes.
Good.
Right, now we're going to go on to the chapel. Isn't that nice?
Jesus is above some sort of a dress there.
Got a frock. All right.
Is that, look, that's a very unusual way to display that priest's robe.
It is.
With the hole in the middle.
They actually used to have sheets like that for the marriage.
I just don't want to know.
The marriage night. And so that the lady who had never met the man before could drape that over herself, but there's a hole there that he can do his business. So just pop his bits through there and off you go. And apparently that they had to look for stains around the opening to make sure that she'd been blooded. Anyway, if there was no blood, it meant she wasn't a virgin.
And all hell broke loose. Then the marriage was off. Absolutely off.
Oh, anyway, those were the days.
Yes.
The chapel is where people would come to pray to their God before going out to kill Scots. Oh, dear Jesus, I'd like to go kill some people now.
Bless me, Jesus.
The Christians are such a passive lot.
Yeah. It's
so-
all love and light with the Christians.
Going out to kill Scots or torture them. This is a place of total hypocrisy. On the wall are flags that could have been taken into battle, a huge sword, a spirit bell, crucifixes, painting of Mary, the mother of Christ, in case you didn't know who Mary was.
She's a bit light on. She looks very white.
The chapel was recently excavated and relics and human bones were found under the floorboards.
Again.
There's bodies tucked away everywhere. Cameras often refuse to work in this room because, let's face it, they don't want to capture on camera what happens in a chapel.
No. Never. You can imagine back then an artist sitting there trying to draw it really quickly.
Yeah, they're picking on Scott a lot, aren't they?
They
Digital cameras sometimes have batteries drained. People have found orbs in their photos.
Really?
Oh,
Fascinating.
They did feel a couple of cold spots in the room.
They felt a couple
of cold spots.
couples cold spots.
Couple of cold spots.
Oh, okay.
Although no draft could be found to explain them. I'm sure that old castles are not drafty. Oh, yeah, hang on.
Now, Cag, have you been into all of these rooms, Cag and Ali? Let us know.
So remember we were at the Edward room before, which is where all the children were killed. It's also known as the killing room. Funny about that. It's on the top floor of the castle. All the way around the top of the rooms runs a balcony. In the room is a suit of armour holding a two-handed sword. On the walls hang weapons such as swords and pikes. There's a helmet, lots of cow horns and flags. On display are the documents that were found walled up with a boy in the pink room. So now there's a story about the boy that was walled up in the room.
Right.
The blue boy.
What?
No, it's not the picture.
Oh.
He's referred to as the blue boy or the radiant boy.
Right.
So they found documents that had been given to the Spanish from the aristocrat who owned the castle at the time to help them defeat the English during the Spanish Armada. The boy was walled up alive with the documents and his body was found in the 1920s along with some blue cloth from where his clothes, hence the clothes he was wearing, hence the reason they call him Blue Boy. The bones of his fingers were worn away from where he'd been trying to scratch his way out. Now that is not the actual skeleton. That is just one I put there for an oh my God moment.
Right. Margie, who has just joined us, this is Chillingham Castle in England. Chillingham Castle in England.
In Northumberland. Has anyone gone to sleep yet? We're all enjoying it. So that, right now we go on to, it's been reported that, so I don't know if this is the pink room. They say the pink room is closed, but I found this one and it's from Chillingham Castle. It might be the pink room. It's been reported that when the hour of midnight sounds, sometimes you can hear his cries of agony and fear. The centre of the cries always emanate from the pink room. The noises are usually traced to a spot near a passage cut through a 10-foot wall. When the wails die away, a bright halo of light sometimes appears around the old four-poster bed.
Ooh, I so want to go there.
I need to go.
so want to go.
Anybody sleeping in the bed would see the figure of a young boy dressed in blue and surrounded by light, hence Radiant Boy,
Right.
gently approaching them. He is the most famous ghost to roam the castle, and he also seems to be the friendliest towards the public. There's even 2 beds in the room, Renata.
I know.
All right, so the next one I know is not a great photo. This is another famous ghost, and she is Lady Mary Berkeley. I'm having trouble with words tonight. Wife of Lord Grey of Walk and Chillingham. The ghost wanders the corridors of the castle looking for her wayward husband, who ran away with Mary's own sister. The
brute.
bitch. Lady Mary was left in the castle alone with her baby girl as companion, heartbroken. Visitors to Chillingham have often heard the rustle of an old-fashioned dress. I wonder what an old-fashioned dress sounds like rustling. Or a chill as the ghost of Lady Mary has walked by them. A ghost originating from a family portrait has also appeared to the Grey family. The apparition of a woman was seen by the Tankervilles children and their nurse stepping out of a painting.
Wow.
Yeah, and then followed them around the castle for several minutes. I wonder if they were running. This ghost is coming after them, following. After a family friend stayed at the castle, they saw the same ghost, but this time she emerged from another of her portraits. Wonder if that's where J.K. Rowling got her inspiration for the ghosts of Harry Potter in the portraits.
Yes, in the portraits.
Yeah.
Portraits became portals.
They do, yeah. Her spirit's also been seen walking the corridors mistaken for a guide dressed in period clothing. In the library, underneath the upper chamber, the voices of two men are often heard talking, but it is not possible to follow what they say, and there seems to cease at once if anyone stops reading or writing to listen to their discussion. It disturbs no one, and many have heard it, but none have accounted for the voices or who the two may be. Now, there's also a pretty lake.
Oh, I'm sure people have been thrown into there.
Yeah, the lake is very picturesque. Fish can be seen jumping in the water, and otters live there too. Oh, it's very windy in the willows. To look at the lake, you'd never know what beneath the surface lies. The remains of 1,000 Scots killed during the war with the English. The bodies would be bundled onto a cart and thrown into the lake.
Ew.
Humanity sucks. The water is rumoured to be cursed. If you put your hand into the water, the souls of the dead will pull ye under.
Wow.
I'd give that a go. I'm going to go stick my hand in the lake. All right, I'm nearly done.
Maybe that's why the fish jump, because the souls are trying to pull them even deeper.
Oh,
So
but they'd be fat fish. They'd be well fed on all the dead bodies.
They would be. Oh, that's a nice spot for a cafe, I reckon.
Yeah. During restoration work in the 19th century, workmen uncovered 2 grinning skeletons. I don't think they were grinning. I think they just had no flesh left on them. The bones of a man and a child, close to a trapdoor that opens to the stone arches of the underground vaults. It is possible that they hid during a border reaver attack, only to be trapped in their safe hiding place. Workmen also discovered in the lower dungeons of the castle the perfectly preserved figure of a man sitting in a chair. Unfortunately, as soon as the air rushed in, the body crumbled.
Oh.
Now,
What a sight that would have been.
Yeah, so I mean, there were some other little bits and pieces. The white pantry ghost, a frail figure that appears, and a footman employed to sleep here and guard it. That's because the silver was stored there. The ghost in the chamber. There's another one. Voices in the chapel. Ghosts in the courtyard. But I think that was probably a good. Now this is an example of one of the ghost photos. Please note you've got your red ring.
Good.
It's not a great photo, but there is a close up of what that is.
Oh.
So there is the young boy, and that looks like you can see like the Tudor hat sort of thing happening there. It could be anything. It's so pixelated. And this is another ghost photo.
Someone's having a joyous time with the axe. And then we have something there. Oh, I thought that was that thing that's over his head.
Yeah, I think that's what it could be. I don't know about that.
Oh, that's
no.
That's part of the that thingy.
Yeah.
What's it? Oh, what was it called?
The Iron Maiden.
Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Iron Maiden.
So that supposedly that bit of dust.
Mm-hmm. Oh, And we have the end.
The end. So I hope you enjoyed that little presentation. I'm just going to pop back out here and get back over to our StreamYard, over to, and to the stream, remove from the stream. Hello.
That was fascinating. I would love dearly to go to Chillingham Castle.
We will. We have to now.
And imagine the lives we could do from there. Would take everyone on a journey.
And the torture
I could put you on the rack.
You know, people have had sex on that. No thanks.
There's been worse than that happen on there. So, yeah.
But yeah, even like the things where the torture chamber was built on a slant so the blood would roll down into the drains.
They thought of everything, didn't they?
It
They
was
were
the
very,
modern dungeon.
Yes. They were very well thought of. But thank you for that.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you. I will just complete this recording now and we will be back shortly for part 2. Everyone stay there. While I just move this on and just remember to click the right button so we don't lose it. I have done that before.
Yes, she's wiped out whole episodes.
It's technology.
All right. So, we had our first ghost tour last Saturday night. Finally got back to the walking tour out at Wollongong. And we had all our COVID things in place. Everyone had masks on. We had a glove on the dominant hand that people needed to touch things with, and because we didn't have enough gloves for 2 gloves each. That's my bad.
Can't get everything right.
Hi, Justin. Hi, Maya. Hi, Belinda. Yes, let's go, Belinda. I agree. Ben, yep.
It was a very strange and interesting evening with the whole COVID thing. There's this little tinge of fear that sat in my heart in, are we doing everything right? Are we protecting everyone? Is everyone standing far enough away from each other? Kind of takes away from the experience a little bit. And I think people have got to learn that that's just the way it's going to be if you're going to be able to run any tours at all. I'm very glad that we were allowed to do the whole Wollongong thing. Hopefully, as the weeks go on, we may hear of more sites being available to us. But I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. I guess we shall see as time progresses.
I think, firstly, everyone was waiting to see how this one went. And now that we know that we can run it safely, mind you, it was limited numbers. It was half the amount you'd normally have.
Mm-hmm. And we ran over time because it sort of took so long to organise things and get from one place to another and make sure we cleaned everything before leaving. So
and thank you, Brooke and Chris, for your help too.
Yeah. And thank you, Joe from Wollongong, for organising it. It was a 2.5-hour tour. It ended up almost 3 hours by the time we finished. And yeah, we were down one site as well. So there you go. We were sort of just intense. Intense, I think, is the word.
Bit stressful, but we got there, and we're going again this Saturday night. That one is sold out as well. We'll see if we can get some more on. But if you want to come and see Ghostbusters with us, we've got a frightfully good night at Glendale Cinemas, which is
19th.
It's next week.
Yes.
Everyone's welcome. I think there's still some tickets left. We'd love to see you all. We've got the whole theatre booked out just for us, so we can heckle as much as we like and laugh and carry on, and it will be a great night. It's $20. That's all it is. Just come join us and have some fun. It's not a money-making thing at all, just to cover the costs and so we can have a fun night.
We will be doing something special in September at a site that is yet to be revealed to the public, but it has been booked in. We are just hoping that by September we still are COVID-free enough to do it. So we're not kind of announcing anything until the very, very beginning of September. But that will be a bit of a sleepover for a selected few people. And we're hoping that Maitland Jail is coming very, 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 very close to allowing us back in. So, yeah. And Halloween, we get to have Halloween at Maitland Jail. Just letting you know, just preparing you. Just preparing you.
As long as COVID doesn't fuck us over. Excuse the French. 4 tickets left. Okay, cool. It's only 4 tickets, guys. Come join us. We'd love to meet you all.
Absolutely.
In the flesh.
We'll have to be socially distanced, but we'll yell at each other in
Through our masks.
Yeah, in the cinema, because we're going to be the only ones that are there.
Yep. All right. I'm going to wear my nightie.
Okay. So we're back for part 2 of the ABC of Hauntings with the letter C, and we just enjoyed a whole story about Chillingham Castle, and I so want to go. But let's take it down a notch or two with the excitement now, and let's go to Australia's capital city, Canberra, and we're going to talk a little bit about the ghosts of Canberra. Now, I know that we have a resident ghost hunter there named Tim the Yowie Man, and yes, if you are ever in Canberra, go and take one of his tours. I don't know whether he's running them at the moment, so if you do know whether Tim the Yowie Man is running his tours in Canberra, let us know so that we can tell everyone. But I'm very surprised at the amount of haunted places there are.
Yes.
And so we will have to put some of those on our little journey.
Oh, yes.
Considering we can't go anywhere else.
Can't go anywhere else, so we're going to have to go there. And I'm quite happy to explore Australia, or New South Wales as it stands at this stage.
And I'm going to start off this segment with a story that goes way back to 1939, and this was reported in the Evening News.
Well, you must have been about 12
in
then.
Rockhampton, shut up, and it was recorded on Friday the 4th of August 1939, and it starts off by saying Canberra's ghost haunts come... Sorry, Canberra.
Show them the print.
That up.
Show them the print, and you'll understand why. It's like that sort of old-fashioned print. Don't set it on fire. We've got a candle there.
Well, this is a photo of what was actually written in the paper.
Now, would you like a little bit of
And
extra
that was
light
that
on
was
that?
from Trove. No, I will get it right.
Because I know
I'll get it right this
your
time.
eyes are struggling.
I'll get it right.
Okay.
Canberra ghosts haunt home of Kents. That's about as close as I can get.
Okay.
Story of diamond theft told in old letter. Yarralumba House, which is to be the Canberra home of the Duke of Kent, has a ghost. It has never been seen, but half a century ago there were tales of a shadow, the spirit of a murdered Aborigine, which used to uneasily about the countryside on dark nights. I'm just going to go up in a puff of smoke in a minute. We've got this candle here.
Give me this. I'm just going to take my little candle over here.
And I've got my paper right next to it. You could have seen something very interesting happen there.
And it would have been live. We got a million hits on that.
I know, right? So in the dusty archives at Canberra, an old letter purports to have the history of the ghost, unsigned and dated 1881.
Wow.
It was discovered when the Commonwealth government took over the old house in 1925 for use as government house. It told an interesting but probably entirely romantic tale of the theft of a valuable diamond and bushrangers and loyalty of a faithful blackfellow. We can't use that word anymore.
We're reading from a historical article.
Yes,
it's okay.
yes. 1939.
Yes.
Don't send us messages.
No hate mail, please.
A giant deodar. I don't know what that word is. I know what it is. I know what it is now because I looked it up. D-A-O-D-A-R, deodar. It's actually a spruce tree.
Oh.
In the gardens of Yarralumba. In 1826, a convict stole a large diamond from James Cobberty on an obscure cattle station in Queensland. He was captured in 1858. The convict refused despite floggings to reveal the hiding place of the stone. He had given it to a groom who passed it to his son, fearing to try to dispose of it during his lifetime. With a trusted Aborigine, the son eventually left Cooma, about 60 miles south of Canberra, to take the diamond to Sydney. They were attacked by bushrangers and the black was captured. About every single word that you could probably use for the Aborigines that's wrong has just been used in this. But, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Angered when they could not find the diamond which the Black Hand had swallowed, they shot him and left the body in the bush where it was found by a wandering tribe. The old manuscript says he was buried in a piece of land belonging to Colonel Gibbs and later Mr. Campbell. I believe the diamond to be amongst his bones.
Ooh.
It is of great value. Believe and receive a fortune, scoff and leave the jewel in its hiding place.
Mel said she's from Cooma. She might be able to go have a look for the bones.
Yeah, you'd have to go under the government house to do it. Just
You
say,
know-
I'm sorry, I've lost an earring.
You don't happen to know the Kennedys out there that owned a lot of property, do you, Mel?
The majestic Deodar, sorry, I've just butchered that word, which is about 100 years old and the parent of the Canberra Deodar Avenues, is about halfway along the southwestern side of Yarralumba's magnificent new reception room. Colonel Gibbs built a homestead near the site of the present government house, and Mr. Frederick Campbell built the central three-storied portion of the present Yarralumla in 1891. So I actually wrote a blog about this and posted it up. So if you want to actually have a look at Government House and Yarralumla, there is a picture of it there, and it is quite a stunning place, actually. Very nice indeed.
I think Jenny was saying that Jenny Pearson, has been through the Yarralumba house and is beautiful and the grounds are so peaceful.
Yes. So we have another story here, and this is about the National Film and Sound Archive, which apparently is also extremely haunted. So would you like to go to my picture, please, Miss Anne?
Okay.
So for those listening, we're just going to show a picture of the National Film and Sound Archives shortly, but we'll show this one first. Yeah. Now, she was one of Australia's most prominent cold cases in the 1930s, and according to some believers, she's made the National Film and Sound Archive her home in the afterlife. In September 1934, the body of a woman discovered in a storm water drain on the outskirts of Albury, New South Wales, dressed only in her pyjamas and so badly burnt that she was unrecognisable. Wow. Does anybody remember what this case was called and what the body of the woman was called? She would have been in every single newspaper in the whole of Australia back then. There was a special title they gave her. So, of course, this is the reconstruction of her face.
So it's literally a death mask.
Yes. Yep. So the case gained media attention from around the world. I'll give it away now. However, the Pajama Girl, as she became known as, remained unidentified for a decade. There are still questions surrounding whether the eventual identification of Linda Agostini is actually correct. Now, Tim, the Yowie man who talked about some of the haunted sites for this particular article that I got the information from, says that they put her body on display in Sydney for a long time for people to go look at it.
What?
To see if they could recognise it because they didn't know who she was. How sad.
I do remember in Newcastle there was a young girl that they found her body and nobody identified her. She was only about 15 or 16, and they got so desperate to try and work out who she was, they actually put a photo of her dead, but they just sort of like did it like a headshot of her, so to see if somebody would recognise who she was. Nobody claimed her from what I remember.
Wow. So this is the face of Linda Agostini, the Pajama Girl, with the original plaster cast taken from her face and the partly burnt towel in which her head was wrapped.
Justin reckons that looks like Trump.
That's awful. Absolutely awful. It's believed that between Albury and Sydney, when it was driven up, they stopped to rest here and they put the body downstairs, not in the morgue, but in the sub-basement where it is even cooler. So that's in the National Film and Archive Centre. There is no written record of that, but the number of people I've spoken to, this is Tim the Yowie Man, when it was the Institute of Anatomy and now the Film and Sound Archive say that the sub-basement, when they are in the sub-basement, they either feel something or in some cases they've seen the face of a young lady. Many believe that it could be her. So the Film and Sound Archive was at one stage the Institute of Anatomy.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
I think there would be plenty of interesting things to feel and see there. So the Pajama Girl is the most commonly cited ghostly face at the archives. However, it's not the only spooky entity that has apparently set up shop in the 1930s building. Every room seems to tell a story, says Tim the Yowie Man. People talk about a little girl who lives in the archives theaterette, specifically under the stage. Before the gratings were removed from the front of it, audience members would say they could see a little girl waving at them from behind the bars. Sure, the uneasiness could be put down to an overactive imagination, but even one of the archives employees says she is a believer since working within the building. The National Film and Sound Archive is regarded as one of the most haunted buildings in the country, a reputation most probably coming from its previous life as the Institute of Anatomy.
And Margie, that photo of the girl in Newcastle would have probably been about 30 odd years ago. DNA was around, but not that big.
So when it was an Institute of Anatomy, there were many human and animal skeletons and remains stuffed in glass jars and put on display. Quite gory stuff, and so the place has an uneasy history. There is one room at the front of the building that used to be a laboratory, and in that laboratory, war wounds from World War I were brought out and they were studied in the 1930s and 1940s. It's known as the most haunted room in the building, and people go in there and not only feel uneasy, but things start moving around. Ooh. You'll be sitting at a table and the glass that you've drunk out of will move by itself and smash on the floor. Films in anti-gravity film canisters will line part of the room. That line part of the room will come out and be chucked around the room.
Oh, that's a bit rough.
Something in there is not at peace, and it's thought because of all the terrible circumstances that these people associated with the war wounds had died from. Downstairs in what was one of the capital's earliest morgues is a meeting room where people have reportedly felt like they have been pushed. There is a story of an electrical contractor being pushed up against the wall by an unknown force. Ooh. And then there's the classical music heard from the courtyard. As a Film and Sound Archive, it's not outrageous to think about music being played, but while walking around the archive at night with only one other person, Tim heard the music. We later found out that when the building started as the Institute of Anatomy, there was a fellow called Sir Colin Mackenzie who was the man who founded it, and his wife, Lady Mackenzie, used to have Canberra's first Friday night drinky poos in the courtyard.
But they never have drinky poos in Canberra anymore.
No, she would have classical music playing in that corner where the classical music stopped. But Canberra's haunts are not limited to the archive. Hotel Kurrajong was former Prime Minister Ben Chifley's residence, where he was in Canberra during the 1940s, and apparently he's still there almost 70 years after he had a heart attack and died.
We'll be going to that one.
Would you like to just show us the next picture? Because that is about, there you have the National Film and Archive Institute.
Isn't it magnificent?
Academy. Yes, isn't it? We could go through there with some K2 meters. I bet you we catch some orbs in there. What do you reckon? So there are many people who say they see his ghost, this is Ben Chifley, in a particular room that he died in, and they've done it up in the decor of his era. Interestingly, the only people who seem to see him are those who aren't looking for him. So he says that many ghost hunters go in and they set up everything and they have their equipment on all night and they never get anything. And yet someone who might not know the story and stays in the room, or someone who is a new employee and doesn't know about the history of the place, will see a man walking down the corridor or sitting in his favourite chair. And when they are shown the picture of Ben Chifley, they say, that's the
him.
one.
That's the one.
That's the one I saw. So numerous publications, including the Goulburn Evening Post, The Age, and the Queensland Times, describe how two cleaners, who unsurprisingly chose to remain anonymous, had repeatedly seen the ghost of a woman dressed in a long robe and a cardigan at night. So this is another ghost roaming the Department of Health offices.
In a cardie.
In her cardie. Both say how the vague and misty entity would disappear as soon as they talked to it.
So it's a dementia one.
And then there is Florrie Blundell at Blundell's cottage in Parkes, who died in an accident in 1892. So let's grab the last picture
slide.
there. There it is. Look at that.
Nice.
So there are two versions of the story, because what's a good ghost story without a few unconfirmed details? On a cold August night, she was either too close to an iron or an open fireplace, which caused her clothes to catch alight. Only a few people have claimed to see her in the dark under the tree, but a lot of people say they smell a terrible odour like burning human flesh.
Ew.
I guess people have ghostly experiences in different ways, but at Blundell's cottage, people will often claim that they smell something unusual there. Quite a few psychic mediums say that she likes people coming there and learning about her, and that's the only way that she can manifest herself to say, hey, I'm here.
Oh, bless her.
It may
I
come...
suppose it's a definitive thing that if they smell burning flesh and they know the story of her dying like that, then it is a way of confirming that's who it is.
But do they hear the story and then they smell the burning flesh?
This is it.
Or do they smell the
Have
first?
they been front-loaded?
Have they? It may come as a surprise that while Tim is not a skeptic, he also doesn't consider himself to be 100% a believer either. He's not even sure if he wants to find evidence either way to get him off the fence. What he's captivated by is the intrigue that ghost stories create. Even during his ghost tours, there's a clear line between fact and the unknown, mixing information from the building's nearly 90-year history with stories about its rumoured inhabitants. So yes, Tim has been taking these tours around Canberra for a really long time, and he says it started with a trip in Bungadaw's Carrington Inn in the mid-1990s. Tim was in the dining room with a group of friends when he and his friends saw something move out of the corner of their eyes. He saw this man run at superhuman pace down the main hall of the old building at the Carrington and then disappear through a locked wooden door. That was one of the first experiences I had where I couldn't explain what I had seen. A couple of my friends saw it as well, and I think it was something that hooked me into delving into it more. So Tim's experiences haven't stopped there. He says just last year he was driving home from Lerida Estate along Federal Highway next to Lake George when he saw a man on the side of the road. There was no car in sight, and he was dressed in period costume. It looked like he was from the late 1800s. He had a lantern and he was fossicking through knee-to-waist high grass on the side of the highway. I thought, what's going on? And I stopped and looked back and he wasn't there. I don't know how I could explain that, but weird things seem to happen on that stretch of highway. Aside from the lake's disappearing act, which gives it an element of mystery as it is, the site is reportedly home to the supernatural, most notably a ghostly hitchhiker. Story has it that people pick up a young girl in white along the highway and give her a lift to her grandmother's house in Queanbeyan. When they arrive, the grandmother informs the driver that the girl drowned in the lake decades ago, and, of course, it's at that point the apparition disappears. There's the so-called phantom hitchhiker, which is more an urban legend, I think, than a real ghost, Tim says. But the phantom hitchhiker is a story that happens everywhere. It happens all around the world.
And they're always a girl in a white dress.
And it's always a girl in a white dress, which really is just really...
out of there. We've got to put that back. There we are. I keep getting it back to front. I can take the light off now.
Now, so I'm sure that there are so many other different stories about Canberra and the ghosts that reside there. And I think we should pay a visit to some of those haunted sites.
I've made some notes there of which hotels we're staying at.
I think there are a few more stories as well. So we need to, if you know anything about Canberra, if you have been on a ghost tour there, or if you experienced something in Canberra that was a bit ooky and spooky, let us know, because we would love to take a bit of a trip there. We know someone who's living there at the moment, so that we can go and visit him.
Yes.
And have a spooky weekend in Canberra. So
Lots of live feeds.
So that concludes my little story for this week, which means that next week we are on the letter D.
Might have to be Dubbo.
And we will be looking for haunted D places. Okay, so that finishes our podcast for this week. Join us again next week for the letter D and see what we come up with. Let me save.
Yep, she saved it. Good. Okay. I hope you enjoyed those stories. I hope you're enjoying the new theme of haunted ABCs, the ABCs of Hauntings and different stories. I actually really enjoyed researching the Chillingham Castle and finding all the photos and stories to go along with it. And like we've got experiences from old Dubbo Jail, so we might actually look at Dubbo.
Yeah.
We've got our photos we can put up. We can tell them all about the gallows and everything that's gone on there.
Yeah.
Because we will be back at Dubbo running the ghost tours there. They miss us. Which is lovely.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon.
Everything will be hopefully soon. And guys, we really wish you all the best at this stage. The only thing that we can really say to you all is to try and stay as safe as you possibly can. Don't do anything that would put you at risk or your loved ones at risk. Really, the world isn't asking much of us. It is just asking us to be mindful of how we conduct ourselves in public. Until this whole COVID thing is over, we really don't want to lose any more lives. And I saw something online a week ago where there was this one woman in America who was screaming her head off and saying that we've only had 100 deaths in this city. And we've had so many more dying of flu. It's only been 100. And you kind of go, well, fantastic, but not so if you're one of those 100 that just died in pain.
Her argument also, because she was screaming at school teachers who were saying, we don't want to return to work because we don't think it's safe.
Well, the school teachers don't either.
And the school teachers were protesting. And she's going, but it's our choice whether we send our children. It's our choice. And you've got no right to tell us that we can't send our children. And they're saying, but it's our choice whether we expose ourselves to this disease. She goes, no, you can't do that. It's not about you. It's about our choice and whether we send our children and whether we choose to put them at risk or not. She just couldn't get that
they were on the same side.
Yeah.
They were on the same side.
But they didn't have the same rights. This was the problem. She was saying they didn't have the same rights. Now, I'm just about to post a link. I need you guys to go to this link and say that you're interested or you're attending. Please, 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 please. It's just a little thing and it's free. So even if you can't go, it doesn't matter. We so need to get these numbers up on this, what we're doing at Q Station on Thursday night. So don't forget, straight after this at 9 o'clock, we're going to be doing the live seance session. We've got to set up this room. It's a bit of a brothel in here at the moment. And we've got to try and set up a camera so that you can see us. So we are going to sign out and please say that you're going to that link at Q Station.
Yeah, so it's on the Q Station Manly Ghost Tour Facebook page.
Yep.
And you will see the event, which is for Thursday the 13th
At 9
at
p.m.
9 p.m.
And you can watch us
It is
live.
a live from Q Station. And guess what? We will be the only ones at Q Station.
Yes, Q Station is closed down. And we're going to be sleeping there the night.
Lives. I can say there's
Lots
going to
of
be lives.
And we'll do our free tarot show from there as well.
We'll do our free tarot show. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Love you guys. See you on the dark side. Thanks for being with us tonight. Bye.
Bye.